12-year-old Maya tucked her favorite book into her backpack and looked around the busy airport. She had flown many times before, but never alone. Her mom had to stay back for an important business meeting, so Maya was traveling by herself to visit her grandmother in Chicago for the summer. Flight 447 to Chicago is now boarding first-class passengers, the gate agent announced over the speaker. Maya stood up and grabbed her small rolling bag. She wore her favorite jeans, a soft purple hoodie, and comfortable sneakers. Her hair was pulled back in neat braids with small butterfly clips that her grandmother had sent her. She looked like any other kid going on vacation. The gate agent smiled when Maya handed over her boarding pass. First class seat 2A. Have a wonderful flight, sweetie. Maya walked down the jet bridge feeling excited about seeing her grandmother. They had planned to bake cookies, visit the zoo, and go to the science museum. She couldn't wait to tell her grandmother about the book she was reading and show her the drawings she had made. When Maya stepped onto the plane, she noticed how fancy the first-class section looked. The seats were big and comfortable, covered in soft leather. There were only 12 seats in this section, and each one had its own little table and reading light. She found her seat by the window and put her backpack in the overhead bin. As she settled in, she pulled out her book and her small bag of snacks that her mom had packed for her. Maya loved looking out airplane windows during takeoff and landing. Patricia Williams had been working as a flight attendant for 15 years. She took pride in keeping everything organized and making sure passengers followed the rules. She believed that maintaining order was the most important part of her job. When Patricia walked through the first-class cabin doing her safety check, she stopped when she saw Maya. The girl was sitting quietly, reading her book, but something about the situation bothered Patricia. She had seen many first-class passengers over the years, and this young girl just didn't fit what she expected. Patricia approached Maya's seat with a serious expression. "Excuse me, young lady. Can I see your boarding pass?" Maya looked up from her book, a little surprised by the stern tone. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out her boarding pass, handing it to Patricia with a polite smile. "Here it is." Patricia examined the boarding pass carefully, turning it over and holding it up to the light. She checked the seat number twice, then looked at Maya again. "This says first class, seat 2A. "Yes, that's right," Maya replied, still smiling. She wasn't sure why the flight attendant seemed confused. "And you're traveling alone?" Patricia asked, her voice carrying a tone that made other passengers start to notice their conversation. "Yes, I'm going to visit my grandmother in Chicago. My mom had to work, but she'll pick me up when I come back next month," Maya answered honestly, wondering if she had done something wrong. Patricia stood there for a moment, clearly not satisfied with Maya's answers. She had seen kids travel alone before, but usually in economy class. Something about this situation just didn't add up in her mind. "Can you tell me how you got this ticket?" Patricia asked, crossing her arms. Maya felt confused by the question. "My mom bought it for me. She always gets me the same seat when we fly together." "Your mother bought you a first-class ticket?" Patricia's eyebrows raised, and she spoke loud enough that the businessman in seat 1B looked up from his newspaper. "Yes, she did." Maya's voice became quieter. She was starting to feel uncomfortable, though she didn't understand why the flight attendant was asking so many questions. Patricia looked around the first-class cabin. Most of the passengers were business people in expensive suits, reading financial newspapers or working on laptops. There was an older couple who looked like they were going on vacation, and a woman who appeared to be some kind of executive. "Well, I need to verify this with my supervisor," Patricia said, though she made no move to actually call anyone. "In the meantime, please make sure you have all your documents ready." Maya nodded, though she felt hurt and confused. She had her boarding pass just like everyone else. She couldn't understand why she was being treated differently. As Patricia walked away, the businessman in seat 1B gave Maya a kind smile. "Don't worry about it, kid. Some people just have bad days." Maya smiled back gratefully, but inside she felt a knot forming in her stomach. She had been so excited about her trip, and now she felt like she had done something wrong, even though she couldn't figure out what. Over the next few minutes, as more passengers boarded the plane, Maya noticed Patricia watching her. Every time the flight attendant walked by, she would glance at Maya with suspicious eyes. It made Maya want to sink down in her seat and become invisible. When a late passenger struggled to fit his large bag in the overhead bin near Maya's seat, Patricia rushed over to help him immediately. She was all smiles and polite conversation, asking about his business trip and making sure he was comfortable. "Can I get you anything before we take off, Mr. Peterson? A drink, perhaps?" Patricia offered. "That would be great, thank you," the man replied. Maya watched this interaction and felt even more confused. Why was Patricia so friendly to him but so suspicious of her? She tried to focus on her book, but the words seemed to blur together. As the plane prepared for takeoff, Patricia came by to collect drink orders from the first-class passengers. She went to every seat, chatting pleasantly and taking orders. When she reached Maya's row, she walked right past without stopping. Maya waited for a moment, thinking Patricia might come back. When she didn't, Maya raised her hand politely. "Excuse me, could I have some apple juice, please?" Patricia turned around with an annoyed expression. "We'll see what we have available," she said curtly, then continued to the next row without writing down Maya's request. The woman across the aisle, who had been watching everything, shook her head disapprovingly. She leaned over toward Maya. "Honey, what you're experiencing isn't right," she whispered. Maya just nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she didn't want to cry on the airplane. Her grandmother had always taught her to be strong and dignified, no matter how others treated her. As the plane taxied toward the runway, Maya pressed her face against the window and tried to focus on the excitement of seeing her grandmother. She wouldn't let one mean person ruin her whole trip, but deep down she couldn't shake the feeling that something very unfair was happening to her, and she didn't know how to make it stop. The plane had been in the air for about an hour when Patricia started preparing for the meal service. Maya had been looking forward to this part of the flight. Her mom had told her that first-class meals were special, and Maya was curious to see what they would serve. She watched as Patricia wheeled the meal cart down the aisle, stopping at each seat to offer passengers their choice of meals. The delicious smell of food filled the cabin, making Maya's stomach rumble quietly. "Good afternoon, Mr. Peterson," Patricia said cheerfully to the businessman in seat 1B. "Today we have herb-crusted chicken with roasted vegetables or salmon with rice pilaf. Which would you prefer?" "The salmon sounds wonderful," he replied. Patricia served him with a bright smile, making sure he had everything he needed. She continued down the aisle, offering the same warm service to each passenger. When she reached the elderly couple in row 3, she spent extra time chatting with them about their anniversary trip. Maya watched all of this, feeling more and more excited for her turn. She had already decided she wanted to try the chicken. She had never eaten herb-crusted chicken before, and it sounded fancy and delicious. But as Patricia continued serving meals, something strange happened. She served the woman across the aisle from Maya. Then she served the man behind Maya, but when she got to Maya's row, she simply pushed the cart right past her seat without stopping. Maya waited, thinking maybe Patricia would come back to her. But Patricia continued to the rest of the cabin, serving everyone else their meals. The amazing smells filled the air around Maya, but her seat remained empty. After a few minutes, Maya raised her hand politely. "Excuse me?" she called softly to Patricia, who was now cleaning up at the back of the cabin. Patricia turned around with an annoyed look. "What is it?" "I was wondering about my meal," Maya said quietly, feeling embarrassed that other passengers were listening. "Oh," Patricia said loudly. "I'm sorry, but we've run out of first-class meals. I can bring you a sandwich from the economy section if you'd like." Maya felt her heart sink. She looked around and could see that other passengers seemed surprised by this announcement. The woman across the aisle looked particularly shocked. "But I saw you had meals left on your cart," Maya said gently, not wanting to argue but feeling confused. "Those are reserved for other passengers," Patricia replied sharply. "Like I said, I can get you a basic sandwich, or you can wait until we land." Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. All the other first-class passengers had received beautiful meals on real plates with metal utensils. She was being offered a basic sandwich like she was somehow less important than everyone else. "A sandwich would be fine, thank you," Maya said quietly, trying not to cry. Patricia returned a few minutes later with a plain turkey sandwich wrapped in plastic, the kind they served in economy class. She placed it on Maya's tray table without any of the ceremony or kindness she had shown the other passengers. Maya unwrapped her sandwich and took a small bite. It tasted dry and sad compared to the amazing meals everyone else was enjoying. She tried to tell herself it didn't matter, that food was just food, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being treated unfairly. Just then, a new passenger walked down the aisle from the bathroom. Maya recognized him as someone who had boarded late, just before takeoff. He had been sleeping during the meal service and was just now waking up. "Oh, Mr. Davidson," Patricia called out sweetly. "I saved your meal for you. Would you prefer the herb-crusted chicken or the salmon?" Maya's sandwich suddenly tasted like cardboard in her mouth. Patricia had told her they were out of first-class meals, but here she was, offering both options to this late passenger. "The chicken looks great," Mr. Davidson replied with a yawn. Patricia served him the exact meal that Maya had wanted, complete with the nice china plates, real silverware, and a cloth napkin. She even brought him a warm roll with butter and asked if he wanted wine with his meal. Maya stared at her plain sandwich and felt tears threatening to spill over. She looked around the cabin and saw that several other passengers had noticed what just happened. The woman across the aisle was shaking her head in disgust. The businessman in seat 1B was frowning and looking uncomfortable. The elderly gentleman in seat 4A, who had been quietly watching everything, suddenly stood up. He walked over to Maya's seat carrying his untouched dinner roll. "Young lady," he said kindly, "I'm not very hungry today. Would you like my roll? It's quite delicious." Before Maya could answer, Patricia appeared beside them. "Sir, I'm sorry, but airline regulations don't allow passengers to share food items. For safety reasons." The elderly man looked at Patricia with surprise. "Since when?" "I've been flying for 40 years and I've never heard of such a rule." "It's a new policy," Patricia said firmly, though several passengers looked skeptical. "I'll have to ask you to return to your seat." The kind man looked at Maya apologetically and walked back to his seat. Maya felt even worse now. Not only was she being treated poorly, but Patricia was preventing other passengers from showing her kindness. Maya tried to finish her sandwich, but each bite felt harder to swallow. She could hear the other passengers enjoying their meals, laughing and chatting with Patricia, who was now moving through the cabin offering coffee and dessert to everyone. When Patricia reached Maya's row again, she simply walked past without offering anything. Maya watched as she served chocolate cake and fresh fruit to all the other first-class passengers. The desserts looked beautiful, arranged on small plates with elegant presentation. The woman across the aisle, Mrs. Chen, had been getting more and more upset as she watched Patricia's behavior. Finally, she couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Excuse me," Mrs. Chen called to Patricia. "I think you forgot to offer this young lady dessert?" Patricia turned around with a fake smile. "Oh, dessert service is only for passengers who ordered full meals. Since she had a sandwich, she's not eligible." Mrs. Chen's mouth dropped open. "That's ridiculous. She has a first-class ticket just like the rest of us." "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you not to interfere with airline policies," Patricia said, her voice becoming stern. Mrs. Chen looked like she wanted to say more, but Patricia had already walked away. She turned to Maya with sympathetic eyes and mouthed the words, "I'm sorry," across the aisle. Maya felt grateful that someone was trying to stand up for her, but she also felt terrible that other people were getting in trouble because of her situation. She didn't want to cause problems for anyone. She pulled out her phone and stared at it for a moment. She thought about texting her mom to tell her what was happening, but she didn't want to worry her. Her mom was in important meetings all day, and Maya didn't want to distract her with problems. Instead, Maya opened her notes app and started writing down what had happened. She wrote about Patricia's questions when she first boarded, about being skipped during meal service, about the lie that they were out of food, and about the man who was served the meal she was told was unavailable. As she wrote, Maya felt a strange sense of calm come over her. Her grandmother had always told her that the truth was powerful, and that sometimes the best way to fight unfairness was simply to document it clearly and honestly. Maya didn't know what she would do with these notes, but something inside her told her they might be important later. She saved the notes and put her phone away, then tried to focus on her book for the rest of the flight. But concentrating was hard when she could still smell the delicious food everyone else had enjoyed, and when she could feel Patricia's unfriendly eyes on her every time the flight attendant walked by her seat. Maya spent the next hour trying to focus on her book, but her mind kept wandering back to what had happened during the meal service. She felt hurt and confused, but more than anything, she felt a growing sense that what was happening to her was wrong in a way that went beyond just poor customer service. Her grandmother had taught her about dignity and standing up for herself, but always in a way that was respectful and smart. Sometimes, Maya, her grandmother would say, the most powerful thing you can do is stay calm and let people show you exactly who they are. Maya quietly pulled out her phone again and opened her voice recorder app. She had an idea. If she was going to document what was happening, she might as well do it properly. Her mom had taught her that evidence was important, and that sometimes people behaved differently when they knew they were being watched or recorded. She positioned her phone discreetly on her tray table, partially hidden behind her water bottle. The recording app was running, but no one could see it unless they looked very carefully. Sure enough, within a few minutes, Patricia walked by her seat again. Maya had noticed that Patricia seemed to find excuses to walk through the first-class cabin frequently, and she always seemed to look at Maya with suspicion. "Excuse me," Maya said politely when Patricia passed by.
"Could I possibly have some water, please?"
Patricia stopped and turned around with an exasperated sigh. "The call button is there for a reason," she said loudly enough for other passengers to hear. "And we've already done the beverage service." "I'm sorry, I must have missed it," Maya replied calmly. "Could I just have a small cup of water?" "Fine," Patricia said with obvious annoyance. She walked to the galley and returned with a small plastic cup that was barely half full. She placed it on Maya's tray table with more force than necessary, causing some water to slosh out. "Thank you," Maya said genuinely, even though Patricia's behavior was clearly rude. As Patricia walked away, Maya heard her mumble something under her breath about some people expecting special treatment. Maya's phone had captured the entire interaction. About 20 minutes later, Maya watched as Patricia cheerfully served fresh drinks to several other passengers who hadn't even asked for them. She offered them choices of different beverages, brought them generous portions in proper glasses, and even provided small snacks to go with their drinks. The contrast was so obvious that Maya saw Mrs. Chen across the aisle shaking her head again. The businessman in seat 1B was also watching with a frown on his face. Maya decided to try something. She pulled out her phone more obviously this time and started taking notes in her notepad app. She wasn't trying to hide what she was doing, but she wasn't making a big show of it either. "Dear Mom," she typed, "I wanted to let you know about my flight. The flight attendant has been treating me differently from the other passengers. She questioned why I had a first-class ticket, skipped me during meal service, lied about running out of food, and has been generally unkind. I'm documenting everything that happens so I can tell you about it later. Don't worry about me, I'm handling it well and staying calm like Grandma taught me." As Maya typed, she noticed Patricia watching her from the galley. The flight attendant's eyes were fixed on Maya's phone, and she looked concerned about what Maya might be doing. Patricia walked over to Maya's seat with a fake smile plastered on her face. "Is everything all right, dear? You seem to be very busy with your phone." Maya looked up with innocent eyes. "Oh yes, I'm just letting my mom know how the flight is going. She likes me to check in when I'm traveling alone." "I see," Patricia said, her smile becoming more strained. "And what exactly are you telling her?" "Just about my flight experience," Maya replied honestly. "She always asks about how I'm treated when I fly, so I like to give her detailed updates." Patricia's face seemed to pale slightly. "Well, I hope you're telling her what a wonderful time you're having." "I'm telling her the truth about everything that's happened," Maya said simply. There was something in Maya's calm tone that seemed to make Patricia nervous. She walked away quickly, but Maya noticed that she kept glancing back at her throughout the rest of the flight. Maya continued typing on her phone, this time adding more details about each incident. She included the exact times when things happened, what was said, and who was present to witness each event. Her mom had taught her that good documentation should be specific and factual. "Update," she typed. "The flight attendant just came over to ask what I was texting you about. When I said I was telling you the truth about my flight experience, she looked worried and walked away quickly. I think she knows her behavior has been wrong." As Maya typed, she felt something shift inside her. She wasn't just a victim of unfair treatment anymore. She was someone who was carefully and calmly collecting evidence of discrimination. Her grandmother would be proud of how she was handling this situation. The elderly gentleman in seat 4A, Mr. Williams, had been watching everything with increasing concern. During a moment when Patricia was busy in the back galley, he leaned across the aisle toward Maya. "Young lady," he whispered, "I've been flying for many decades, and what I've seen today is completely unacceptable. That flight attendant has been discriminating against you, and it's wrong." Maya nodded gratefully. "Thank you for noticing, sir. I've been documenting everything. Good for you, he replied. You're handling this with more grace than many adults would. Just then, Patricia reappeared and saw Mr. Williams talking to Maya. She rushed over with an aggressive expression. Sir, I need to ask you to remain in your seat. You're creating a disturbance by moving around the cabin. Mr. Williams looked at her with surprise. I haven't left my seat. I simply leaned over to speak to this young passenger. Well, please keep conversations to a minimum. Some passengers are trying to rest, Patricia said, even though the cabin was quite lively with conversations and most. Stay strong. Maya realized that Patricia was now trying to prevent other passengers from showing her kindness or support. This seemed to confirm that Patricia knew her behavior was wrong and didn't want witnesses comparing notes. Maya added this incident to her growing list of documentation. She also started a new text message, this one to someone else. She scrolled through her contacts until she found the number she was looking for. Hi, she typed. This is Maya. I'm on flight 447 to Chicago. I need to let you know about a situation that's happening with one of your employees. A flight attendant named Patricia Williams has been discriminating against me throughout the flight. I have detailed documentation of multiple incidents. We should discuss this when I land. Maya looked at the message for a moment before hitting send. She felt nervous about reaching out, but she also felt that it was the right thing to do. Sometimes standing up for yourself meant taking action, not just enduring unfair treatment. Her phone buzzed with a quick response. I'm very sorry to hear this, Maya. Please document everything carefully. We will address this immediately upon landing. Are you safe and comfortable for the remainder of the flight? Maya smiled for the first time in hours as she typed back, Yes, I'm fine. I'm handling it well. See you soon. As Maya put her phone away, she noticed Patricia watching her again from the galley. This time, Patricia looked genuinely worried, though she probably couldn't figure out exactly why. Maya settled back in her seat and opened her book again. For the first time since the flight began, she felt truly calm. She had handled a difficult situation with dignity and intelligence, and she had made sure that the truth would be heard by the right people. The plane would be landing in Chicago in about an hour, and Maya knew that when it did, things were going to change for Patricia Williams. Maya had learned something important about herself during this flight. She was stronger and braver than she had ever realized. As the plane began its descent toward Chicago, Maya felt a mix of emotions. She was excited to see her grandmother, but she also felt different than when she had started this journey. The experiences of the past few hours had changed something inside her. She felt older, more aware of how unfairly some people could be treated, but also more confident in her ability to handle difficult situations. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message that made her heart feel lighter. It was from her grandmother. Can't wait to see you, sweetheart. I have fresh cookies waiting and all your favorite books ready for our summer adventure. The driver will be at baggage claim with a sign with your name on it. Maya smiled as she typed back, Can't wait to see you too, Grandma. I have some interesting stories to tell you about my flight. Her grandmother responded quickly. Oh dear, I hope everything went well. You can tell me all about it over cookies and milk. Maya looked out the window as the city of Chicago grew larger below them. She could see the lake, the tall buildings, and the busy highways full of tiny cars. Soon she would be with her grandmother, safe and loved and far away from Patricia's mean treatment. But first, there was something she needed to do. Patricia had been unusually quiet during the last part of the flight. Maya had noticed her whispering with the other flight attendant, casting nervous glances in Maya's direction. Patricia seemed to sense that something was wrong, but she couldn't quite figure out what. As the plane continued its descent, Patricia made one final attempt to fix the situation. She approached Maya's seat with what she probably thought was a friendly smile, but it looked forced and fake. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your flight with us today, Patricia said, her voice artificially sweet. Maya looked up at her calmly. It's certainly been an educational experience. Patricia's smile faltered slightly at Maya's mature response. Is there anything I can do to make the rest of your flight more comfortable? Maya considered the question seriously. You could treat all passengers with equal respect and kindness, regardless of what they look like or how old they are. Patricia's face went red. She clearly hadn't expected such a direct and thoughtful answer from a 12-year-old. I'm not sure what you mean by that, she stammered. I think you do know what I mean, Maya replied gently but firmly. I think you know exactly how you've treated me compared to how you've treated everyone else on this flight. Patricia opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. She looked around the first-class cabin and saw several passengers watching their conversation with interest. Mr. Williams gave Maya an approving nod. Mrs. Chen was listening intently. Even the businessman in seat 1B had put down his newspaper to pay attention. I've treated all passengers professionally, Patricia said weakly. Maya pulled out her phone and opened her notes app. I have a detailed record of our interactions today. Would you like me to read it to you? Patricia's eyes widened as she stared at Maya's phone. That won't be necessary, she said quickly, then hurried away toward the back of the plane. Maya put her phone away and looked out the window again. She felt proud of herself for staying calm and speaking up. Her grandmother had always told her that the truth was powerful, and Maya was beginning to understand what that meant. A few minutes later, Maya's phone rang. She answered quietly, aware that other passengers might hear her conversation. Hi, sweetie, came her mother's familiar voice. I got your messages. Are you okay? I'm fine, Mom, Maya said softly. I handled everything just like you and Grandma taught me. I'm so proud of you, her mother replied. Can you tell me more about what happened? Maya glanced around to make sure Patricia wasn't nearby, then gave her mother a quiet summary of the flight's events. She spoke calmly and factually, sticking to what had actually happened without exaggerating or being dramatic. Oh, Maya, her mother said when she finished. I'm so sorry you had to experience that, but I'm incredibly proud of how you handled yourself. I documented everything, Maya said, just like you taught me. That was very smart thinking. Maya, I need to tell you something. I've been in meetings all day, but I got your messages, and I've already made some phone calls about this situation. What kind of phone calls? Maya asked. Well, sweetheart, there are some things about my work that we haven't talked much about. Do you remember how I told you I was in important meetings today? Yes, Maya replied, curious about where this conversation was going. Those meetings were about the airline company I work with very closely. In fact, Maya, I need to tell you something important. Skyward Airlines isn't just a company I work with. It's a company I own. Maya felt her breath catch in her throat. What do you mean, own? I mean, I'm the CEO and founder of Skyward Airlines, sweetheart. I started this company when you were very little, and it's grown into one of the biggest airlines in the country. Every plane you're sitting in, every employee who works here, they all work for me. Maya's mind raced as she processed this information. She had known her mother had an important job, but she hadn't realized it was this important. So Patricia works for you? Yes, she does. And Maya, what she did to you today is completely against everything our company stands for. I've already spoken with our head of human resources and our customer service director. They're going to be waiting when your plane lands. Maya felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of her felt relieved that justice would be done. But another part of her felt sad that it had taken her mother's power to make things right. What about all the other people who might be treated badly by Patricia, but didn't have a mother who owned the airline? Mom, Maya said thoughtfully, I'm glad you can fix this, but what about other passengers who get treated like I did? What about people who don't have someone powerful to call? Her mother was quiet for a moment. That's exactly why this is so important, Maya. What happened to you today shows me that we need to do a better job training our employees and making sure every passenger is treated with respect. Your experience is going to help us make things better for everyone. Really? Maya asked. Absolutely. Sometimes it takes seeing a problem clearly to know how to fix it. You've given us that chance. The plane's captain came over the intercom. Flight attendants, please prepare for landing. I have to go now, Mom, Maya said. We're about to land. Okay, sweetheart. I love you so much and I'm so proud of how you handled this situation. Give Grandma a big hug from me and we'll talk more about all of this when you get home. I love you too, Mom. As Maya hung up the phone, she noticed Patricia walking through the cabin one more time, checking that everyone had their seatbelts fastened. When Patricia reached Maya's row, she stopped and looked at her with an expression that was hard to read. I hope the rest of your trip goes well, Patricia said quietly. Maya looked up at her and saw something different in Patricia's eyes. Maybe it was worry, or maybe it was the beginning of understanding. Thank you, Maya replied. I hope you have a good day too. As Patricia walked away, Maya reached into her backpack and pulled out a business card her mother had given her months ago. She had forgotten she even had it until now. It was white with simple blue lettering. Dr. Angela Johnson, CEO and founder, Skyward Airlines. Maya held the card for a moment, thinking about everything that had happened during this flight. Then she made a decision. As Patricia passed by her seat one more time, Maya quietly held out the card. "Excuse me, Patricia," Maya said softly. "I think you should have this." Patricia took the card without really looking at it, probably assuming it was trash or something unimportant. She glanced at it quickly and then shoved it into her uniform pocket. "Thanks," Patricia said dismissively, already walking away. Maya watched her go and felt a sense of completion. Soon Patricia would look at that card more carefully. Soon she would understand exactly who Maya was and exactly what kind of trouble she had gotten herself into. The plane touched down smoothly on the runway, and Maya looked out the window at the Chicago skyline. She was ready to see her grandmother, ready to tell her about this incredible day, and ready to help her mother make sure that no other passenger would ever be treated the way she had been treated today. The plane came to a complete stop at the gate, and passengers began gathering their belongings. Maya carefully packed her book and phone into her backpack, making sure she had all safe. And chatting as if nothing unusual had happened during the flight. She seemed to have pushed the strange encounters with Maya out of her mind, probably assuming that whatever discomfort she had felt was just her imagination. As Maya stood up to get her small suitcase from the overhead bin, Mr. Williams approached her. "Young lady," he said quietly, "I want you to know that what I witnessed today was completely unacceptable. If you or your family ever need a witness to what happened on this flight, I would be happy to provide a statement." He handed Maya a small piece of paper with his contact information. "I'm a retired judge," he explained. "I know discrimination when I see it, and what that flight attendant did to you was textbook discrimination." Maya accepted the paper gratefully. "Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. You were very kind to me when she wouldn't let other passengers help me." Mrs. Chen, who had been listening to their conversation, approached as well. "I saw everything too, honey," she said. "That woman's behavior was disgusting. I've never seen anything like it." Maya felt touched by their support, but also sad that they had all witnessed such unfair treatment. "Thank you both for caring," she said sincerely. As passengers began filing off the plane, Patricia continued her duties, saying goodbye to each first-class passenger with professional courtesy. When Maya's turn came to leave, Patricia gave her a brief, dismissive nod. "Have a nice day," Patricia said without much interest. "You too," Maya replied politely. Maya walked up the jet bridge and into the busy Chicago airport. She could see her grandmother's driver holding a sign with her name on it, just as her grandmother had promised. But before she headed to baggage claim, she wanted to see what would happen next. She found a quiet spot where she could watch the gate area and pulled out her phone. Within a few minutes, she saw Patricia emerge from the jet bridge, pulling her small wheeled bag behind her. Patricia was chatting and laughing with the other flight attendant, apparently in a good mood now that her shift was over. As they walked through the gate area, Patricia reached into her uniform pocket to throw away some trash. Maya watched as Patricia's hand found the business card and pulled it out along with some gum wrappers. Patricia glanced at the card carelessly, probably intending to toss it in the trash. But then she stopped walking. Maya saw her eyes widen as she read the card more carefully. Patricia's face went completely white. "Oh no," Maya heard Patricia whisper even from across the gate area. "Oh no, oh no, oh no." The other flight attendant, whose name was Jennifer, looked at her with concern. "What's wrong, Pat?" Patricia showed Jennifer the business card with shaking hands. Jennifer read it and her mouth fell open. "Patricia," Jennifer said in a shocked voice, "please tell me you didn't treat that little girl badly. Please tell me you gave her the same service you gave everyone else." Patricia's silence was answer enough. Jennifer looked horrified. "Pat, do you realize what you've done? That little girl is the CEO's daughter. Her mother owns this entire airline." Maya watched as Patricia sank into one of the gate chairs, looking like she might faint. The business card fluttered to the floor from her trembling fingers. "I thought she was just some kid who didn't belong in first class." Patricia whispered. I thought maybe her ticket was a mistake or something. I didn't know. It wouldn't matter if she was some random kid, Jennifer said, clearly upset. We're supposed to treat every passenger with respect and kindness. That's literally our job. Patricia put her head in her hands. She was documenting everything. She kept taking notes on her phone and asking for water and watching everything I did. I thought she was just being difficult. She was documenting everything because you were discriminating against her, Jennifer said. Patricia, you could lose your job over this. You could be sued. This is exactly the kind of thing that gets people fired and ends up in the news. Maya felt a mix of emotions as she watched Patricia's world crumble. Part of her felt satisfied that justice was being done. But another part of her felt sorry for Patricia, even though Patricia had been mean to her. Maya realized that her mother had been right. Sometimes people's bad choices caught up with them in ways they never expected. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message from her mother. Sweetheart, airport security and our customer service team are looking for Patricia Williams right now. They should find her any minute. As if on cue, Maya saw two people in business suits and a security officer approaching Patricia and Jennifer. Patricia looked up and saw them coming. Her face showed that she knew exactly why they were there. Patricia Williams? One of the business-suited people asked. Yes, Patricia replied in a voice so small Maya could barely hear it. I'm David Martinez, Director of Customer Relations for Skyward Airlines. And this is Lisa Thompson from Human Resources. We need to speak with you immediately about an incident that occurred on Flight 447. Patricia nodded silently and stood up. As they began walking toward a private office area, Maya heard Mr. Martinez say, Ms. Williams, we have detailed documentation of your behavior toward one of our passengers today, including audio recordings and witness statements. Maya realized that her documentation had already been shared with the airline's management. Her mother had taken her evidence seriously and acted on it quickly. Maya picked up her backpack and walked toward the baggage claim area where her grandmother's driver was waiting. As she walked, she felt proud of herself but also thoughtful about what had just happened. At baggage claim, the driver smiled warmly when he saw her. You must be Maya. I'm Robert. Your grandmother is so excited to see you. Hi, Robert, Maya said. It's nice to meet you. As they waited for her luggage, Maya thought about the conversation she would have with her grandmother. She would tell her everything that had happened, but she would also talk about what she had learned. She had learned that standing up for yourself didn't mean being angry or mean. It meant being calm, documenting the truth and making sure the right people knew what was happening. She had learned that her voice mattered, even as a 12-year-old kid. But most importantly, she had learned that her experience could help other people. Her mother had been right. By speaking up about what happened to her, Maya had helped identify a problem that could be fixed so it wouldn't happen to other passengers. Her phone rang as Robert loaded her suitcase into the car. It was her mother. Hi, Mom, Maya answered as they drove through Chicago traffic toward her grandmother's house. Hi, sweetheart. I wanted to let you know that Patricia Williams has been suspended pending a full investigation. Based on your documentation and witness statements, she will likely be terminated. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means she'll probably lose her job. Maya, what she did to you was discrimination, and our airline has a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of behavior. Maya was quiet for a moment. I feel bad for her even though she was mean to me. That shows what a kind person you are, her mother replied. But Maya, Patricia made choices today that hurt you and could have hurt other passengers too. She needs to face the consequences of those choices so she can learn from them, and so other employees understand that this behavior is never acceptable. Will this help other people who fly on your airline? Maya asked. Absolutely. We're using this incident to review all of our training programs and make sure every employee understands that we serve all passengers with equal respect and kindness, no matter who they are or what they look like. As Robert turned into her grandmother's driveway, Maya saw her grandmother standing on the front porch with a huge smile on her face and her arms open wide for a hug. I have to go, Mom, Maya said. Grandma's waiting for me. Give her my love, and Maya, I'm so proud of the young woman you're becoming. You handled a difficult situation with grace, intelligence, and strength. You should be proud of yourself too. I am, Maya said, and she realized it was true. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Maya ran up the walkway and into her grandmother's warm embrace. As they hugged, She felt the stress and sadness of the flight melting away. "My beautiful granddaughter," her grandmother said, holding her tight. "I have cookies in the oven and so many stories to hear about your adventure." Maya smiled up at her grandmother. "I have quite a story to tell you, Grandma." Later that evening, as Maya and her grandmother sat on the porch eating warm chocolate chip cookies and drinking cold milk, Maya told her the whole story of her flight. Her grandmother listened carefully, asking thoughtful questions and nodding proudly at the parts where Maya had stayed calm and documented everything. "You know what I'm most proud of?" her grandmother said when Maya finished her story. "What?" Maya asked. "I'm proud that you never lost your kindness even when someone was being unkind to you. I'm proud that you stood up for yourself without being mean back to her. And I'm proud that you're thinking about how your experience can help other people." Maya felt warm inside. "Person should do," her grandmother replied. "You've learned something very important today about justice and fairness and standing up for what's right." As the stars came out over Chicago, Maya felt grateful for everything that had happened, even the difficult parts. She had learned that she was braver and stronger than she had known, and that her voice could make a difference in the world. Most importantly, she had learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you could do was simply tell the truth and let the right people hear it.